Well, I mean, from our standpoint, I mean, reaching global partners is critical. That's why we raise our hand, if you will, with the NBA. So whenever they're doing an exhibition game, or for that matter, a regular season game, you know, we're first in line to say, hey, take us to the UK or Russia, or for that matter, China. But I think as we continue to be aggressive in the sponsorship, you know, area, companies, you know, want to align with global partners. And we need to position ourselves as a global partner to a Barclays, to a Cushman & Wakefield, to a Stolshanaya, because they want to know that we have a voice that is far-reaching, one that extends beyond you know, our home base of the New York metropolitan area. And my goal as the driver behind that globalization is to expand that voice, which ultimately creates more value for our partners. I mean, just Barclays as an example, being here in the UK, for them to activate the Barclays Center in their retail branches here on a local level is critical for us. It creates value for our brand, both the building and the team for that matter, but it also gives them, you know, another way to engage with their consumer. And I think partners are going to look for that. We have to be global in order to raise our profile, our sponsorship profile, and that's one of my key initiatives right now. Well, I think given Barclays, and on the heels of Barclays, we were able to attract some premier brands. I think working with premier companies is certainly something that is critical for us. The move from New Jersey to Brooklyn has enabled the Nets to become more of a premium player, premium brand in general, and aligning ourselves with premium companies I think is critical, and it's something that we're looking for. You know, the strategy of less is more, fewer partners, but going deeper with those that make the right type of an investment is also very much part of our strategy. But more so than all of that is how a partner activates. It's how they glamorize our brand. It's how they take us to new channels that we currently don't exist in. As Tom Fox said earlier today, you know, his globalization efforts are based on where his partners can take him. In many respects, when we look for a partner of the Nets, you know, one of the criteria is one of the areas that we want to be able to check the box is where can that partner take us, both domestically or for that matter globally. So that's very much high on our radar screen. Well, I think in many respects we're partnering with the NBA. They're at the forefront when it comes to the globalization of the sport. Whether it's event marketing, and this year they're going to do 125 events throughout the world, whether it's taking the team and playing exhibition games, or for that matter regular season games like we're doing here in London this week. The NBA has been playing globally since 1978. Whether it's through technology and innovation, obviously, you know, content and how we deliver that content around the world creates interest not only for the sport, but for our players and for our teams, and merchandising. Our merchandise right now, you know, is distributed in over 100 countries around the world. Those are all ways that we try to globalize the message and do it, you know, authentically. The territory that you know, a team, let's use the NBA as an example, that would like to develop is going to be based on how they connect to those territories, and there's lots of different ways you can do that. You know, for us, you know, China, Russia, and the UK are important. You know, the UK interest is driven from our sponsor base. I mean, we've got National Grid, Cushman & Wakefield, Barclays here to name a few. Russia, you know, ownership has roots there, and now obviously we have a player, but you know, before we got Andrei Kirilenko, Russia was an important market purely just on the ownership dynamic. And China, we all need to be there. So if you have a star on your team, in many cases, you know, given the excitement that the NBA has generated in China, with over 300 million people participating in the sport, if you have a star on your team, you can have a voice in China. I was just there in August with Kevin Garnett. Not that we have a Chinese player, but his brand certainly resonates there. So you have to understand what market you can connect to, and try to come up with a plan that ultimately enables you to leverage it there. Well, I think from a sponsorship standpoint, we as a team, and I think the industry, we need to do a better job of exploiting, you know, the digital platforms that we've been afforded by the league. I mean, I just got back from the team presidents meetings in Miami, and there was a session on how to sell digital. And I think that's an area that we can get better at, and I think it's an emerging area that could be very profitable for our team. We're also working very closely with the NBA on establishing new inventory in order to go out there and sell. This year, they enabled us to sell the apron of the court, which I think 3 or 4 teams have been able to monetize to date, but certainly something that we're working on. I think going forward with the NBA, identification on the jersey is certainly something that we're all going to look at and explore, and we have been exploring it. We'll continue to explore it. So it's incumbent upon myself and the other leaders at different teams, to challenge the league, to look at things maybe a little differently, and to afford us the opportunity to go out there, be innovative, be leaders in this space, and ultimately be able to monetize whatever that inventory might be.